Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time of the day it is for you. Uh, I'm really excited to welcome you all to this special webinar to introduce the Emerging Leaders Program by the International Society of Nephrology. My name is Vivek Jha. I am the president of the International Society of Nephrology, and I'm speaking to you from my lockdown office in Chandigarh, India. I suspect many of you are also in similarly locked down situations, as are my colleagues. And the first thing I'm going to do is to really share this agenda with you. I don't want to go through this line by line, but let's just get straight on uh, to sharing with you the colleagues that I have with me, very distinguished colleagues on the steering committee of this new Emerging Leaders Program from the ISN. So you have me on top left, and I'll just give you a brief introduction of all the other steering committee members, many of whom are on this call and will be actually taking some of your questions as well as sharing some of their experiences with you after I finish my initial presentation. So next to me, you see the picture of Dr. Rumeza Kazagli-Sioglu. She is the rector and vice dean of the Bezamelian Vakif University in Turkey. And I can tell you that of all the ISN past, present, and hopefully near future counselors, she is the only one who has given a TED talk. So if you want to listen more about Professor Kazanisiglu, please go to the TED talk website and listen to her talk. Then we have Professor Agnes Fogel. She is the president-elect of the International Society of Nephrology. She is not on the call because it's really late at night for her where she is, which is in Vanderbilt, Tennessee, where she is the professor of pathology, microbiology, and immunology, and she holds the John L. Shapiro Chair. She is, besides being one of the top clinical pathologists in the world, she is a highly accomplished researcher, and her research has been recognized by a number of organizations, including the American Society of Nephrology, where she got the Robert G. Narens Award. She has been an associate editor of the Journal of American Society of Nephrology and the Journal of International Society of Nephrology, which is Kidney International. And her expertise is widely sought after by everyone, and she's going to be the president of the society after me. Then we have Walter Douthat on bottom left, who is an expert in nephrology and bone metabolism. He is a professor of nephrology and bone metabolism in Catholic University of Cordoba in Argentina. He is a past president of the Argentinian Society of Nephrology, and he is a counselor of the International Society of Nephrology, as is Rumeza. Then we have Professor Sarala Naikar, who is a professor emeritus, but believe it or not, she is more busy than most professors at the Witwatersrand University in Johannesburg, and she splits her time between Johannesburg and Durban. She is really one of the most accomplished educators that I know of in the kidney field. She has been the past president of the South African Nephrology Association, of the African Association of Nephrology. She has been a past member of the ISN Executive Committee, as well as a present member of the ISN Executive Committee. The number of the PhD students she has mentored is really huge, and I could safely say that a large number of nephrologists currently in practice in Argentina have been mentored by Professor Naikar. And then last but not the least is Professor Adrian Liu, who is a millennial, believe it or not, and he at this young age he is already an ex and founder chief of nephrology service at Tan Tock Seng Hospital, where he was in charge of curriculum and is the director of nephrology and kidney transplant program at Mount Elizabeth Hospital in Singapore. He has, as I said, in his relatively young career, already held a large number of leadership positions, including in the International Society of Nephrology, where he is the counselor as well as executive committee member. He is the secretary of the International Society of Peritoneal Dialysis. He is on a number of advisory boards and has been on panels of KDIGO guideline development committees. He has won the John M. Maher Award of the International Society of Peritoneal Dialysis. So the point is to say that we are really fortunate to have such a really highly distinguished group of leaders, not only in core nephrology but also in allied specialties. But more than that, they bring with them a huge amount of diversity in experience, both in terms of leadership in education, leadership in research, leadership in setting up departments, leadership in leading nephrology societies, and bringing multiple disciplines together to set up new programs and mentoring students, etc. So now let me just provide you with a brief background of why the ISN is developing this program. This is a natural extension of the ISN's capacity building programs to to capacity development. The Emerging Leaders Program is a central pillar now for the ISN's mission, which is to ensure optimal kidney health for everyone, everywhere in the world. For those of you, many of you may be already aware, but those of you who are not, the ISN has been well known for its capacity building programs for almost 25 years now. And these capacity building programs have included fellowship program, sister center program, education ambassador program, the CME program, the mentorship program, the writing academy course, and many other similar programs, which have mostly been focused around developing capacity in those parts of the world where capacity does not exist. This was done typically by bringing young aspiring nephrologists, other kidney health professionals in contact with established teams from other parts of the world, and then getting them to work together to develop some vertical programs or individual aspects of the personalities of the applicants. Most of these ISN fellows or the beneficiaries of the various ISN programs, they have gone back and now become established leaders in some defined parts of their work. But now what the ISN is interested in is to take this to the next level, to make a cadre of kidney health professionals who will shape the future of kidney health in substantive ways. And they would do so through collaboration, they would do so through research, and finally they will do so through action. This is going to be a competitive process, and we'll take you through what that process is going to be. But what we want is that in the end, we want to get a cadre of global, connected, highly connected, multidisciplinary, global team of kidney health professionals who are able to do a number of things that includes monitoring and evaluation of health systems, who are able to identify the barriers, but also facilitators for implementation of evidence-based prevention and treatment programs around the world, develop also evidence-based research in their own locations. And by doing all of this, are able to influence key stakeholders, which include policy makers, but also media personnel and influence young students. So this is the scope, basically a repetition of what I just described, that we want to build a global cadre of experts in healthcare and related disciplines. And here it is important to emphasize this related disciplines bit, is that we are not going to limit ourselves to just looking for leaders from medical specialties. We are also looking for leaders from allied discipline. Allied, when I say everything is allied to medicine, for example, they could be from management specialties, there could be health economists, they could be engineers who are interested in developing better tools to manage kidney health. But what we want a common feature is that they need to be passionate about the ISN's mission, which is of a future where all people have equitable access to sustainable kidney health. And as I said, I don't want to repeat myself, that we want to create leaders in nephrology who are aligned with the mission and vision of the ISN, and that this program will provide the opportunity to work with international experts, some of whom are part of the steering committee, but there are a large number of other experts, for example, those who are in the Young Nephrologist Committee of the ISN and various other working groups and committees of the ISN. And in the end, we would hope that these young leaders, I hope that many of you will be eventually in that, will develop capabilities in implementation science, evidence-informed policy, and not only that, influence health systems through entrepreneurship, advocacy, communications, and go on to work closely alongside policymakers, funders, implementers, and as I said, the media. What opportunities will this program provide? The program will provide opportunity of successful candidates to develop networking with nephrology leaders and peers worldwide. They will be available to you to answer your questions, to help set up programs that you might want to do through participation in education, research, and leadership activities, which are aligned to individual professional development plans also. So you will be able to develop your own professional development plans, and the nephrology leaders and peers will help you develop that and implement that as well. As I said before, we want to do so through development of joint multidisciplinary programs and projects. There will be a number of programs and events which are all listed here. I won't read them, which include both physical events in which people come together physically. We recognize in the days of the COVID pandemic, this has become really hard, and so we'll have to find alternatives. But we still hope that this pandemic will abate and there will be future opportunities for us to come together. But then there will be a number of online opportunities to deliver the mission of the Emerging Leaders Program, and that, as during part of your journey, you will be able to participate in various ISN programs and the programs that ISN conducts in association with other organizations, such as including the WHO and the ISN journals. Of course, in the end, the ISN will provide recognition of your accomplishments on the website and newsletter, and you will have the opportunity to become guest advisors during this program to ISN working groups, and later on, maybe integral parts of these working groups. So now this slide shows you the eligibility criteria, and just to summarize, you have it in the box on top right. And the primary selection criterion is the ability of the candidate to demonstrate their passion for making a difference in delivery of kidney health using a collaborative approach. There are a few criteria which are listed here. I won't read through all of them, but essentially what we are looking for is young candidates, candidates from all sections of the society, academia, civil society, private sector, and that they need to be early career, people from all countries. And the only thing we ask is that they should be a member of the International Society of Nephrology. Even if you're not a current member, if you want to apply, you have time, you can become a member. The application period, so the application period has already opened, and it will close on June 15th, and we will share with you these slides. If you have joined, you probably already have a fair idea of where you need to go to apply. And we hope that in the application process or through the application materials, you should be able to demonstrate your rationale for applying, some of the unique attributes you will bring to the program. We would like to see some evidence of creativity or innovation that you have already implemented somewhere. But more than anything else, we want to see the passion or commitment to addressing a number of issues which are listed here, but these are all indicative. You can come up with some issue that that is not listed here, but you think is important, but as long as it aligns with the mission of the ISN and the mission of the program. We would expect you to provide an example of any recently published work. It doesn't have to be an academic publication. It could be, it could be a blog. It could be a policy report that you would have written, or it could be any other, publication that you have developed. It could be a guideline, etc. We would expect you to provide some letters of support. And for those of you who don't work in an academic institution, you can do so through a couple of other leaders from the field that you are from. And we would want you to shoot a 2-minute video presentation talking about why you want to participate in the program. This video presentation doesn't have to be done by a professional. You can shoot it on your iPhone, your iPad, or on your laptop, and using the most commonly available tools, and share it with us. Don't worry about sophistication of the production. What we want is to hear from you, and from you the articulation of why you want to participate in the program. The participants will eventually form an actual and a virtual multidisciplinary group. They will work with assigned mentors, one or more. You will, of course, maintain an online community and network with mentors and the cohort. You are going to be the inaugural cohort, and the cohorts will grow. And the next cohort that comes, you will have the opportunity to provide some advice to them, and even provide some initial mentorship. You will have the opportunity to participate in and complete activities aligned with your individual leadership development plans, and you will be able to go through an online curriculum on non-technical leadership development topics which will be put together for you. You will, of course, provide input and feedback to help shape the priorities of the ISN and sustain our impact and reputation. Now, in terms of time commitment, we do want to emphasize that this is not something which you will be accepted in and put on your CV and forget about. We will want you to commit some time, and that will be for participation in and attending assigned activities and events calls. There will be individual calls, event calls, small group calls. There will be some communication with the mentor that you will be required to have, and you will need to be active on the online community. Of course, this slide was put together before the COVID stuck, but if the COVID abates, you should be able to travel to appropriately designed events and meetings. And these will be typically organized at in an academic center. This will not be in a hotel. And you will need to be prepared for staying there. For example, if there is an activity which will be held in conjunction with the World Congress, you will need to be there for the World Congress and maybe an extended period of a few days. And this is on the box on the right shows you the timeline of the start of the cohort. So we hope that the first cohort will kick off on the first day of next year, and will go through its activities throughout the year, and we'll hope that you will be able to develop and submit a report by the end of the year. And in the WCN 2022, which will be in February, March, there will be a graduation ceremony, and you will be invited to present posters. And at that time, you will participate in the welcoming ceremony of the next cohort and interact with them and provide your inputs. So I'm going to stop here right now, and we will go into questions and answers. But before that, I would invite my colleagues on the steering committee to maybe say a few words about what do they feel, maybe an example or two from their own leadership journey. But before I invite them one by one, I would again remind you to submit your questions through the chat function of the GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar platform that you are all on, and we will be able to answer your question one by one. If you have a question from one of the specific panelists, please mention that in your question, and we'll go to that specific panelist. So maybe let me start by inviting first of all Rumeza to share your thoughts on your idea of leadership and why do you think this leadership program might be useful?
I think you can hear me. I'm very honored and happy to be involved in this Emerging Leaders program. It's very exciting, and being a former ISN fellow, actually, I thought it was going to be related to only clinical experience that I have gained throughout this program, but it turns out that it also helped me with my leadership progress during my career, actually. But coming from the older ages, from the older medical curriculum, there was no set up courses for us to move forward. If we're wishing to move forward in the leadership programs, this will be a great opportunity to improve ourselves, to improve the young people who have a different point of view than ourselves, who are called the experienced or gained experience people, because they have been born into a new environment, new world, world with the COVID or all the other changes, things are moving forward. I think this is going to be a great opportunity to get networking with each other and moving forward for a strong kidney community and providing equity of treatment to all of our patients worldwide. And thank you for that.
Thanks, Rumeza. Can I now move on to Sarala? Maybe a few thoughts from you.
Thank you, Vivek. And I think I must echo Rumeza. I'm really feel privileged and honored to be working with my colleagues on this exciting program. To me, ISN has been an amazing innovator in the field. I think ISN has done a lot to capacitate people worldwide to work in the field of kidney disease. And where I come from, Africa, nephrology is really a Cinderella discipline. And I started my career in ISN initially as a member, and then as a host, welcoming ISN fellows and mentoring them through their training. And the way I see this program is that it's lifting the activities of trainees to a different level. We're actually training them to be leaders. And I think that's a very important step in the developmental activities of ISN, that this program would equip all the successful, and of course they will all be successful, whoever undertakes this program, to function in their regions, and also with the brilliant network that will be set up. They will have there will be networking with people around the world, besides nephrology, different disciplines. So I think that nephrology, while we are sort of all locked down in our own little regions, I think this program will actually help us to take nephrology to a different frontier. So I'm really excited to be part of it.
Thanks, Sarala. Adrian, thoughts from you?
Thanks, Vivek. I think this is a fantastic program, and it's really a unique one and one of its own kind in the world. And I think ISN is really positioned to deliver a fantastic program because of its international position. We get access to opportunities, to thought leaders, to experiences that you probably will not be able to get in the clinic or in your own country. And because of its connection that ISN has with various organizations, with different societies, this provides an excellent opportunity for individuals from all parts of the world to experience the delivery of kidney care, the various aspects of kidney care in many parts of the world that may not be available to the individual in your own country. And I think that this will provide great opportunities for our young leaders to come on board. And I had a fantastic experience being part of the ISN over the last. I think my history is shorter than both Sarala and Rumeza. I think only just started over the last 4 years, but it's been fantastic. And you get exposed to all sorts of policies and in different parts of the world and different healthcare infrastructure and research opportunities. So I look forward to guys coming in and enjoying this journey. Thank you.
Thanks, Adrian. Thanks, everyone, for that. We already have a number of questions, and I might start with a few. So the first one is from Reese Evans, who asks, do we need to identify a mentor prior to applying? So thanks for that question. It's an important one. So what we are looking for is people who who are applying to have two kinds of mentorships. One is a local mentor that they might want to work with throughout their 1 full year, and then of course there would be mentors from the ISN community, steering committee, plus mentors from other groups in the ISN. What we are looking for is for the candidate to identify at least one local mentor who will of course support the candidate in his or her own location, and also continue to provide long-term mentorship. Many of us who have benefited from having a mentor recognize how important it is to have a local mentor. So that's the idea behind asking to name a mentor during the application process. The second question that Reese asks is, how is this group different to the Young Nephrologist Committee, or how will this group work with the Young Nephrologist Committee? So the Young Nephrologist Committee is a committee of the ISN, and it delivers on the ISN's mission by doing specific programs. Now, the Emerging Leaders Program is meant to develop leaders, is focused on those individuals. The Emerging Leaders Program is focused less on the ISN and more on the individuals. And really, as I described, developing the kind of leaders that goes beyond the development that one has received as a part of kind of curricular training, whereas medical professionals, we get training in medicine, and the rest we of course learn, some by experience, some by talking to colleagues, and learning from seniors, etc. And hopefully you have got some of the flavor of what kind of personality development or development of different facets of one's different dimensions of one's personality that we are looking for through the program. In the end, what we are looking for is that people who will stay in the program for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, but then they go on to have major influence in shaping the future of kidney health in their own regions in really substantive ways, and will expand the scope of research and action and collaboration and clinical service in their parts of the world. So that's the difference. How will this group work with the YNC? It will work with the YNC, so the Young Nephrologist Committee. So members of the Young Nephrologist Committees might want to actually apply to become part of this cohort, and they could complete. But some of the Young Nephrologist Committee members can also become mentors or collaborators, etc. So I think some of this process is going to become clearer as we go along.
So I will move on to the next question. Thank you, Reese, for your questions. Now, from Mohammed Argal, there is a question: what are projects that we are going to work on? Can you give examples? If you want, I can address it, or one of you can.
Shari, why don't you go ahead, and then we maybe just provide additional stuff if needed.
Okay, so hello everyone. This is Charu Malik. I'm the Executive Director for the ISN and part of organizing this program. So the projects will really depend upon the journey, the leadership journey that you aspire to and that you will describe as part of your application that you will turn in. And these projects can be, depending on how you describe your journey, they could be attached to, say, our advocacy group if you're interested in public policy, public health policy, and work on, help to work on, say, ISN's work with the WHO. It could be a clinical research project. It could also be that you're working on a publication and need to do further surveys on it and need to develop an abstract and then submit it, get accepted. So it really will depend on the sort of activities that you describe, and then the role of the jury, the ISN jury and mentors will be to define those projects better and connect you to the relevant part of an ongoing ISN activity or even a new one. So to give you experience of that and provide you with the guidance to bring that project of yours to fruition. Any additions from Adrian, Sarla, or Rameza?
Yeah, and I think one of the ideas was that once the applicants have been identified, it's to sit down with your mentor to actually discuss what are the projects that are available in the ISN, so that you can we could help to identify one area of interest that you want to develop in, and actually link you up with the various leaders who are managing that project. So the project doesn't have to be identified at the beginning of your application. It would be good if you know what area you want to be in. But once the applicant is successful in the program, the mentor will be sitting down with you to discuss what are the relevant components that the ISN is currently doing that might help to complement that area that you're interested in.
All right, we have quite a few questions. Oh, go ahead, Rameza.
And I would add on top of Adrian's comments that some of the ideas could come from the local experiences. That's what we are aiming at with these programs. So they could have come up with their local issues with health management, kidney patient care, and just match them to our ongoing programs in the ISN and the people who are interested in those areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarla, I'll wait to
just wanted to add that you will be sharing the slides, and in one of the slides, Vivek had listed the range of potential programs that the candidates could apply for, though he did say that they're not exclusive. If candidates had other projects they wanted to work on, they could also apply for those. So I thought the menu that Vivek had on that slide was quite extensive, and that could be shared with potential applicants.
Thank you, Sarla. The next question from Eranga Vijikrama. Are there any criteria to select the collaborators' mentors which need to be indicated in the application? So I believe this is about the local mentor being, so would one of you like to address that?
I think the important part is that there is a mentor who is committed to actually seeing you through the journey, and that the mentor has the experience or even the time as well, even the connection to get you involved in the various projects or to link you up with the necessary experts in the field. So I don't think we have put in explicit criteria for the mentor, but I think the principle is that we do want a mentor who is interested in journeying with you, as well as who has the experience or the connections to link you up with the various people involved in your project. Vivek is back.
Yeah, and Adrian, yes, it's important to point out that, as Vivek said earlier, that we are encouraging that you work with a local mentor, maybe someone who will write the letter of support, so you have that support structure locally. But the program, the ELP, will also connect you with a mentor from the ISN leadership to guide you. So you will be sort of bookended locally and internationally. And for that international ISN mentor, you don't have to sort of give the criteria, but the local one is someone that you can work with on a long-term basis. But back to you, Vivek.
Apologies, as it happens, technical glitches always come when you least want them to, but glad to be back. I don't know what issues have already been discussed, but I think we were talking about mentors. But if I can go back, So again, I think most of the questions are around mentors, and there is a question about, can you guide us about selecting mentors, collaborators with whom we plan to work? Do we need to contact them upfront prior to application, or will they be selected by ISN? I guess that question has been answered to some extent, that we do want you to identify a local mentor. Of course, there will be other leaders from within the ISN that will be available to you, and which one of those is most appropriate for the kind of work that you are planning is something that will become apparent later. But what you will need to do in the beginning is just to identify someone from your own region. So there's a question from TT from Sydney, who wants to know whether this program is focusing on LMIC only, or can HIC candidates also apply. So this, as I said before, this is open to all countries. One of our missions is to make sure that we establish north-south, south-south, north-north, all kind of connections. In today's world is a connected world, and we want everyone to be able to partake in such a program. So the next question is around COVID-19. COVID-19 has brought much attention to how healthcare systems are organized. Most countries will have to improve their plans. How international cooperation can help to bring nephrology to the most distant parts of the globe. That's the question we want you to answer over the 1 year or beyond that. And it's a bit too much for you to expect us to be able to answer that in the remaining 20 minutes or so. So that's an excellent question, by the way, and it's become so apparent during the current pandemic, as you say, that healthcare systems and their inadequacies have been exposed, whether it's the healthcare system in a highly developed country or in a highly underdeveloped country. Next question is also about a mentor. Who can be a mentor? Do they have to be same country? I guess we answered that. Is there opportunity to upload a project proposal into the application? So I think we do want you to provide a statement of what you want to do. We don't want you to upload a project proposal, but we want you to write in your own words what you want to do. How do you think you want to bring about change in the way kidney care is delivered around the world, especially in your countries? So it's up to you to interpret the way you want to, but we are not specifically asking you to upload any project proposal, because this is not a research program. This is a leadership development program in which we want people to come together and be innovative, be creative, and come up with both questions and answer those questions through a collaborative approach. Question from Dr. Iranga: are there any criteria to select the collaborators, mentors? No, we don't. I think we'll leave you to select the mentors. You should just be able to argue in your proposal, why did you select this mentor, and how will that mentor support you through your journey, both through the leadership development program and beyond that. Again, there is a question again from Dr. Iranga: do we need to submit the written consent or letter of support? So we do ask you to submit letters of support, and we do hope that one of those letters of support will be from the person you have identified as your mentor. And we do encourage that when you develop your statement, you do talk to your mentor, because it will be important that your mentor agrees to what you want to do, because he or she will need to support you through that journey. Can members of existing committees of ISN apply? Yes, anyone can apply. How many will be selected? We don't know the number. We think it could be between 10 and 15 in the first instance, but this is a rolling program. This will come about every year, and the future numbers will depend on feedback from the initial cohort, and also seeing how the resource requirements will develop. I would also want to clarify that in a way, you are going to be some of a guinea pigs also for the ISN, because this is the inaugural cohort. We will also be learning alongside you on how to implement this program and how to deliver this program in the most efficient way. So we would really want you to keep your eyes and ears open all the time, and not only to be talking amongst yourselves, but also to be providing feedback to us. And they could be critical feedback. That's what we want more than anything else, for you to tell us what the ISN needs to do better. So Reese asked the question again. I did get cut off. Is this program for just 1 year? There'll be opportunity to work over a number of years. As I said before, this program is not a research program. This program is mostly to use demonstration projects to show our ability to collaborate and to come up with ideas that can be developed over long periods of time. And there could be elements of those ideas that individuals within a particular group in a cohort will take away and develop further. So this, when we say research project, it's a very narrow meaning. I think we should actually remove the word research. It's not research. We need to the group to come up with some projects that they want to work together and show that they can actually do that. Last question is again around mentors. Is there any alternative to that? So maybe the question here implies that does this person need to be from the same city or from same institution? That is not necessary at all. I think your mentor should be a local mentor, and there is a very broad definition to it. This mentor could be someone who is from your region, and you are able to access that person. That person should be familiar with the circumstances in which you work, you operate, and is able to provide knowledgeable advice on how can you really develop what you want to develop in around that time, and should be a person that you can.
Have we lost Vivek again?
Might be the
You don't have to have necessarily this person from your own institution. So for example, don't feel compelled. So those were the questions, but I would once again invite my my colleagues to add to the general discussion that has taken place. Sarla, would you like to add something from
Vivek,
your?
Yeah, I think the questions were fairly broad-based, and as you said, it's going to be this is the inaugural launch, as it were. It's going to be a learning curve for us as well, running the program. So I think one thing we should be open to during the process, if the applicants have any questions, they could refer to Charu and the administrative group of ISN, or to us, and I'm sure that we'll be happy to assist in any way. It's difficult to say what could arise at this point. It will be as they arise, and I think we should be flexible and approachable, and I think all of us would be, to try and guide the applicants through the process, because I think we're all invested in making this a successful program.
Indeed, thank you, Sarla. I think that's extremely important, and just to reiterate the point that Sarala just made, is that this is a process. This is not us telling you what to do. We want to be very responsive and to understand what you are looking for, so that this program is around you, not around us. So that's really very important for all of us. So we need to do this collaboratively. So in case you have any question, absolutely go to Charu, go to Marie-Pierre, who is the ISN headquarters staff, who will be managing this program, and we will try to address it to the best of our ability. In some cases, we might want to come back to you to try and clarify what exactly do you want to hear from us, or to provide more context to your question. So this will be a process in development, and please don't feel shy. There are no stupid questions. All questions will help in developing this program. Rumeza, anything from you? Still have about 10.
Yeah. Having a local mentor is critical. That's what you were touching upon as well. And it's not a must that they should have someone superior in the organization that they're working, as we were touching upon that. Those are involved in kidney health, not only the nephrologist, but the other healthcare providers or even engineers, as you have mentioned, be involved in this program. So having someone with experience in the local community is critical. It can be from other cities, thinking about the countries, of course, you have to take that into account, but those must be the people who will be providing the support when you need it and will be happy to help you or guide you whenever there's a necessity. That's critical, I guess.
Thanks, Rumeza. Adrian?
Yeah, I think I want to emphasize that this is not project-centric. This is actually a very person-centric program, and the aim is really to develop the person and not so to develop the project, and really what are the skill sets that you want to develop to become a leader in the delivery of kidney care and global kidney health, and that's important. And the creativity that you have now in deciding on what kind of areas that you want to participate in, and what kind of skills that you want to develop, and what kind of access or experience that you want to have is important, and that will help us to sit down with you to formulate the project that's necessary for this. And sometimes, I mean, if you are looking at things like advocacy in low-income countries, and you're from a high-income country, and the mentor, your local mentor, may not be as critical as your as the rest of the mentors in other areas that we may put you in links with. But your local mentor is important to give you guidance on areas such as time management, as well as what are the background reading materials that you will need, and etc. So it is going to complement everything, but in essence, I think the important spirit behind this program is that this is supposed to be a very person-centric program, and not going to be just focus on just projects.
Thanks, Adrian. So the ISN has had person-centric programs before, like the fellowship program, but they were meant to develop just one vertical set of skills. Here, what we are looking for, not to make you into a vertical, technically competent person in some aspect of your personality, but to allow both you and with you, all your colleagues, to explore other sides of everybody's personalities, which I'm sure most of us have, but they need appropriate environment and stimulation to come through. So we have provided some inputs from the point of view of a medical professional. So okay, so one more question has come in: does the mentor have to be a nephrologist? So the answer is no. Nephrologist is open to who's interested in kidney health, whether they are nephrologists, other allied health professionals. They could be health economists. They could be someone who is interested in communication, advocacy. So those kind of people, as long as they want to do something in kidney health, they are free to apply. They can identify. So even if you are a nephrologist, and if you want to identify a policy person as your mentor, you are absolutely free to do so. This could be some person in the Ministry of Health in your country who is interested in setting you up with some policy ideas, or it could be a health economist, and that person might want to support you in developing health technology assessment service, for example, in your country. So please don't feel constrained in selecting your mentor. So like I said, this you heard right now from 4 nephrologists, but we also have on the ISN Dr. Charu Malik. She's a different kind of a doctor. She is a leader, and maybe Charu, you can provide some perspective from from your vantage point as to what do you think. You have been with ISN for over a year now, but you have been with a number of other organizations, and I think you bring more experience in terms of the diversity of experience than any of us here on the panel. So maybe a few words from you about what you think this leadership program should look like.
Sure. Thank you, Vivek. You know, more than ever, this recent pandemic, has shown the need for a certain kind of leadership. And I'm just using this to emphasize what Adrian has said, what the other leaders have said already, that, all of those of us who are in healthcare, in addition to the clinical and the research contributions, the ability to sort of lead is becoming so very, very critical. And leadership is something that one can learn, and that's the best thing about it. And you just need to be given the opportunity, need to be sort of shown the way, and to be able to sort of be exposed to that, whether it's working with mentors who can share the experience or being exposed to different kinds of activities. That is sort of the vision or the aspiration behind this program. And so for my personal journey, really, it has been learning from people. And my original sort of training just provided the foundation that I could use to learn along the way and find ways of actually kind of exposing myself to things that were completely different from what I was trained in, that have contributed to providing a leadership mindset. And with the ISN, and this has been said before too by the leaders on the call, is such a diverse body and is so positioned to see the diversity of care and of needs and how best to address that. And so beyond the clinical and research skills and competencies, the ability to know and understand this diversity and how to best address it to make us come nearer to the equity of care that we aim for. That is the passion that's driving this program. And the only way to do that is to work collaboratively, to learn from others' experience, and to be ready to expose yourself to things that are outside your comfort zone. So this is, again, sort of a very large 30,000 feet view of leadership and this program, but sort of defines what's driving it. So that's from me, Vivek.
Thanks, Charu. So this is, so actually what you said in the last few minutes is really a preview of the kind of diversity of experience that the candidates who apply for this program can expect to see, because what we are aiming to do is exactly as you described, Charu, to get that kind of broad worldview into the program and sort of even make us aware of the kind of things that sometimes we didn't even know existed. So that's really the program. So thanks for sharing that.
And just
Are there
adding,
any
very
go
quickly, Vivek, just emphasizing what you all have said before, that everybody on the call and your colleagues, please do feel free to send us questions on the application and on the page on the ISN website for the Emerging Leaders Program. You will find the email for staff. And so let's make this a collaborative learning process and start the collaborative work now, even as we work together to set up these applications. So do feel free to write us, please.
Yep. Thanks, Cheryl. We do have 2 or 3 minutes, but I think we have discussed most of the points that that had been brought up, and we don't need to drag this call till the very end. So first of all, I would like to thank all of you, all the attendees, for joining this call. and for your interest in the Emerging Leaders Program of the ISN. And these thanks come on behalf of my colleagues here on the panel. On my behalf, I would like to thank all my colleagues on the panel for joining this. This is the very first thing that we are doing in terms of kicking off this program, and we are really excited to get this going and see it progress through your involvement. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Vivek. Thank you, everyone. Bye now.